Hello BookTube, it's Brecky from Brecky Writes, and this is Brecky Reads, and it's time for another Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday was started by Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey. I will link her channel and the Goodreads group in the description below. This week, Top 5 Worst Love Interests. Now I could make a whole video going over the dozens of terrible love interests that exist in literature, but I'm going to narrow it down to only male protagonist love interests and only in like YA-ish literature. There are a couple of books you could say aren't technically YA, but I don't care. I'm including them anyway. The first worst love interests of the month is Willoughby from Sense and Sensibility. Willoughby makes the list because he betrays Marianne. He loves her, they spout poetry together, he gives her every indication that he's going to propose and marry her. And then because he doesn't have enough money and he's made some bad life choices, he dumps her ass. He's a terrible love interest because he's ultimately self-serving and he makes bad life choices and doesn't deal with them, and that affects his affections for Marianne. I'm of the belief that Willoughby really truly loved Marianne and would have gotten together with her and would have proposed marriage if money hadn't been an issue. But in Edwardian England, money was kind of a big deal, so he was a jerk. The number 4 worst love interest has to go to Dimitri from the Vampire Academy. Now, before you get your pitchforks and you like storm the castle, let me just say the reason I think he's a bad love interest, aside from like the ridiculous plot that is involved, is he's way too old for her. He's her tutor, he's her teacher, and that just feels really gross to me. I will say that in the first book, he clearly is fighting that urge, but yeah, he gives in, and then he pursues her, and then it's just, there's a lot of problems, and it's just really, I feel really uncomfortable with that entire romantic entanglement. It's just bad. It's just bad. My number 3 worst love interest is the only one who's like the main character in the book, and that is Rob from High Fidelity. Rob from High Fidelity actually tells the story in High Fidelity. It's from his viewpoint, and he is a big fat jerk. He cheats on his girlfriend, and he is a bastard about it, and he's just not nice. He is conceited, and yes, part of the story is him like growing into realizing that like he knows what he's lost and everything, but honestly, I think that he is a jerk and probably has some mental instability, and I think he's a terrible love interest. My number 2 worst love interest is another character that's like way too old for the girl he's pursuing, and that's Edward Cullen from Twilight. Again, I know that you're gonna be getting your pitchforks and you're gonna be storming the castle, but he is just not acceptable. He's like 90-something years old, dating a 17-year-old. It's obviously emotionally manipulative, the fact that he abandons her in a situation where she's willing to put herself into harm in order to try to bring him closer to her. Like, that entire relationship is so terrible, and a lot of it is predicated upon his like almost obsessive fixation with Bella. Edward Cullen is not the dream guy. Edward Cullen is not this like gentlemanly romantic figure. He is like a classic example of obsessive behavior, and I just think he's creepy, and I don't get why everyone loves him, and I think he's a terrible love interest. I don't think Jacob's any better. I just think he's less bad than Edward, and yeah, the obsessive compulsive, like, I can't. And the number 1 worst love interest, Wickham from Sense and Sensibility. You could say that Wickham and Willoughby don't count because they're not who the main female protagonists end up with in the end, and I'm really grateful for it, but Elizabeth Bennet wanted to be with Wickham real hard, and then one of her sisters ended up marrying him because he's a cad and ran away with her without any intention of marrying her because he's a jerk. He is manipulative, he's completely self-serving, he has a gambling problem, he does not think about anybody but himself, he's vengeful, he's just all the icky things. And you're reading it, and if you know the story and you're seeing what's happening, you're just like, don't do it, Elizabeth! Don't do it, Lydia! And Lydia does it because she doesn't have the brains that Elizabeth has, which is sad. Yeah, he's terrible, and he is a major love interest through the first, like, 2/3 of the book. So yeah, he's awful. He's just rotten. Those are my top 5 worst love interests in YA-ish literature. Please let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree with any of my love interests, I suspect there might be a few people who have their pitchforks at the ready. And what are some of your top 5 worst love interests that you've read? Are there any where it's the OTP and you just think it's horrible? Are there any love triangles that just like make you crazy? I want to know. Let me know and leave them in the comments. Happy reading, and I'll see you later. Bye!